He's sitting there looking like John Travolta, first of all. I do not understand this man's wardrobe. Every time I see him, he's just sitting there barely talking, dressed like he just got off the set of a 1970s film. I mean, what is up with this guy's body language? I mean, I'm sorry. Let's keep it moving. Forgive me. Hello, America. FBI and CIA agents and fellow cult members. Welcome to Culture Club USA. Today's riddle is, when willfully wretched womanists intend to deceive, sadness, anger, and loneliness is all they achieve. For the plight of the wretched womanist is often devoid of light, as they rarely concede defeat and go quietly into the night. Okay, on today's episode of Culture Club USA, we're gonna watch an episode of Pearl battling it out with a stubborn ideologue who just cannot get a grip on reality. Let's dive in.
I am so glad this comes from the horse's mouth. So when I do these whiteboard presentations and talk about how women go into industries and sue later and bitch and moan, I can show point A, point B, point C of a woman who knows nothing about engineering, knows nothing about the firm. Her boss says a joke she doesn't like, tells her to get coffee, and now lost.
I can see where this is going. Look at this one. Here we go. Just the faces. The faces these people make on these shows crack me up. All right, let's go.
She doesn't like, tells her to get coffee, and now lawsuit.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if you reach a level where, they're not letting you keep climbing up the career, it looks like you're going to have to spend time finding another job, you know what they're doing is unfair and unjust, then yeah, you should try to make the company
you
pay.
Don't, but
hold on a second. What is this idea, okay, that it's only women that are not allowed to climb up? Do you hear what she's saying? Let's bring this back, because this is important. This is a narrative that is just floating all over the world, for God's sake. Women aren't allowed to climb up. On another episode of Access Vegas, they were saying the same thing. Well, women aren't allowed to climb up. Since when? These are corporations. Corporations want the best, okay? They want the best. They're in business to make money. Why would they suppress somebody that's amazing at their job from climbing? Doesn't make sense. It literally doesn't make sense.
Now lawsuit.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if you reach a level where, they're not letting you keep climbing up the career, it looks like you're going to have to spend time finding another job, you know what they're doing is unfair and unjust, then yeah, you should try to make the company pay.
But you don't know that, because the smartest people, the most competent people I know, they don't complain. They don't bitch. They don't sue. They don't talk about this stuff because because they're too busy working. They don't have time.
And I think also, I think it's...
Actually, that's a really good point. I got to give it to Pearl there. They're too busy working. They don't have time, okay? It's like, what are these women doing in their jobs that are just constantly filing complaints and complaining? My boss looked at me the wrong way. He asked me to get coffee. I mean, it's like, what is that about? Women have become such nags, not only in the house, but in the workplace too. And do you notice something? It's like these women not only nag in offices, they nag and bitch and have these attitudes in like Starbucks. Like, I can't even order a coffee anymore and get a smile or a thank you for stopping by. It's like, wait a minute, you wanted extra caramel? You want sugar-free? I've got to walk over to the end of the thing to get sugar-free. You know what I mean? It's like this terrible narrative with women.
Highly probable that potentially, obviously I don't know your friend, but she was hired because she was a woman, because I know a girl who studied engineering and she was like there was like 2 girls in the whole grade of people at university who studied engineering. So the fact that she got this job potentially is because of this equity and diversity quota. And equity and diversity quotas are so dangerous. Like, I looked into the case of Travis Rudolph, who was a footballer, who was charged with murder, and his life was literally ruined by this woman who lied about being domestically abused by him. Now, the person that they had lead the entire investigation for a murder trial was a woman who was potentially promoted up to lead detective in the case just because she was a woman.
Wow, sounds like Fannie Willis. You see where I'm going with this? Do you see where I'm going with this? Think about the Fannie Willis case. Need I say more? Really? Really? Oh, let's hire my boyfriend, my lover, and let's just, let's go on vacation and do everything we can. Oh, because he is a proper gentleman. Okay, I am not a proper lady. I mean, did anybody catch that case and hear her? First of all, she's totally incompetent. Let's just leave that where that is. But her attitude to boot. How do you have a woman that's in a position like that hasn't paid her taxes and is talking about, well, I've done a lot of things. I went shopping too and didn't pay my taxes. I mean, hello. The mentality is insane. Hold on. But I first want to explain this. Okay, so the girl in bangs, what we're looking at here is that what she's saying is that a friend of hers was hired in some position, some job, and she's a female, in a predominantly male industry, something to do with construction, or I'm not sure. And they fired her because she was female, because she was just so amazing at the job that, they fired her because she was a woman. And she's saying that she has a right to sue. So that's what the battle is about. So let's see where this goes.
She was a woman. She'd only been in the homicide department for 3 years. She was a young woman. When she was on the trial, when she was literally on the stand giving evidence, she was wholly incompetent. She was completely out of her depth. Now, he wouldn't have even been charged with murder if it wasn't for her incompetence. And she wouldn't have been in that position if she was not a woman, because she did not have the merits to be there. So I think given what you're saying, potentially that was why she was hired, and potentially that is why she was not up to the job. I'm a lawyer. I work with men all the time, and I prefer to work with men. I prefer to work with men because there's no drama, there's no bullshit, there's no backstabbing, there's no side comments, there's no fakery. It's just all logic and getting to the point.
And they won't sue you later for nothing.
And the idea that men don't sue, I think, is not in reality.
In the workplace, it's very unlikely because men have a thick skin and men give tough love to each other, and that's why they get better and better and better and better, because they're always, I guess, taking the piss out of each other because it makes them better. And they're like, hey, bro, you could do this better. Next minute, they're better. You say that to a woman, she's in HR crying, and then you've lost your job and you don't know what's happened.
Wow. That was really excellent. That was well said. Okay. Really well said. This young girl is a lawyer. She works with, predominantly males. And do you hear what she's saying? See, when you're coddling people in their jobs or their workplace, there's no way to enable growth, right? I mean, this is a dangerous place that we're in society with this generation of people, like this one with the bangs over here. I mean, seriously. It's like women, it's almost like when you debate a woman. Well, if you involve your feelings and emotional, if you involve feelings, she wins the debate. So, I mean, for all we know, her boss could have looked at her wrong that day. Look at these trials that we're dealing with the ex-president, Trump. What is harassment? Oh, anything from a peck on the cheek to a stabbing. I mean, people, come on. Nobody's going to survive in the world with this attitude. Now, the lawyer sitting here in the blue shirt, absolutely. She's going to go far. She understands the workplace. And if women are going to enter the workplace, be prepared to deal with how the workplace runs. Otherwise, don't go into the workplace. Stay home, get married, and raise children, okay? Don't complain about being in men's jobs when you can't handle it.
Lost your job and you don't know what's happened and what you're going to do next.
There's a difference between hey, I'm going to be a little bit tough on you because I think you can do better, and I don't think you can do anything at all. So fuck off.
If they didn't think that her friend could do anything at all, they wouldn't have hired her, right? But obviously, they thought she could do the job, and apparently she couldn't, which is really probably most likely why she got fired.
And that's the thing, like men, we don't speak like women, and so whenever we speak to women, all we ever get told is we're policed and we're tone police, right? So you have to understand that me as a man, he can tell me some of the most harsh, you might think it's harsh, but that's what I need to hear. And if I can't take that, then that's that bit when they're gonna start saying, oh, you need to man up a little bit, because as a man, like, so the reason why you don't understand it is because you're looking at it from a woman's point of view. Like, the world does not owe you or myself anything. It does not owe us understanding. You may feel
And
it.
I don't care.
He is so spot on. Think about it like this. If you're going to have a surgery, like say you have, say you broke your leg, do you want a female doctor that, is emotional? So if she's having an emotional day when she's doing your surgery, I mean, think about this. So everybody in medical school is supposed to be easy on her, can't say things the wrong way? Or do you really care about making sure that she's the best at the job? Dangerous place in society.
It does not owe us understanding. You may feel
And
it.
I don't care. I don't care if someone says that to me because I'm smart. I've always been freaking smart, and I've always done anything that I could set my mind to. And if I want to do it, I can do it. And I don't give a shit if some boss says something to me, some side comment, and I'm sure as hell not going to sue. And you know why this pisses me off so much? Because it makes it harder for everyone else. And everyone else, they think you have these stupid diversity hires. They think it was just handed to you, when really it's like women like that sue for no reason, that give all of us a bad name.
It's not for no.
That's true. That's so true. It's so funny because my dad, he was in the corporate world pretty high up, VP at something. And I remember there was a point in time, this has been going on for a while, where he couldn't be in the room, or they refused to, as executives, be in the room, like if there was a female worker, without another person in there. This is what women have done. This is what women have done. So think about it. If you're in an industry that is predominantly male, right? You're hurting yourself, because then the men that are up above or in charge are going to be apprehensive on, she is really good, but I don't know. Is she going to accuse us of something? God, we look at her wrong. What if she's on her menstruation? This is what women have done. So I don't know why women push so hard to be in the workforce if they can't handle being in it, right?
All of us a bad name.
It's not for no reason, though. I know you want to minimize it and pretend it's nothing, but
it is
for
nothing.
something.
Like, do you hear? This is what I mean when women whine and complain. We live in a civilization that was built by men. You used to need a husband to protect you. Now the government pays you to be a single mother. The government pays you to basically be homeless as a chick. The government pays you to have multiple baby fathers. There's so many incentives. You can get paid to go on OnlyFans. You can get paid to do whatever you want. And on top of that, you don't need to live with a guy if you don't want to. We have all the choice we've ever had in human history. And what will women still do? Bitch.
I just
moan.
don't think.
Complain. I don't like the way he talked to me. Oh my God,
I
he
think
said
there's
a joke.
standard of respect everybody should have for each other.
Oh no. He didn't give me the respect. Men know that you have to earn respect. Women feel entitled to it.
Because guess what?
Ooh. Women feel entitled to respect. Men, Pearl just said something really, that's really important, because she's so right.
Everybody should have for each other.
Oh no. He didn't give me the respect. Men know that you have to earn respect.
Men know that you have to earn respect. Women feel entitled. See, this is where the left, the Democrats, have really crippled women, okay? The Great Society Act. First, you separate the women from the men, okay? Women and men together, the nuclear family, it makes not only the women stronger, but it makes the men stronger too. There's a balance here. Right now, the country is imbalanced. Now, let's just fast forward a bit to where we are. Now, I covered a lot of the public housing crisis here in New York City. Let me tell you, where is the incentive here for these people to actually make their lives better? There is no incentive. It's actually the reverse. So the government actually penalizes you if you're a family. The government penalizes you, right, if you go out and get work. Nothing makes sense. If you have kids without a husband, we pay you. Think about how backwards society has become. Think about who it hurts the most. Who does it hurt the most? Women. Because the chances of survival for a man, it's a lot easier for a man to survive happily without a female than a female without a male. Think about that.
Women feel entitled to it.
Because guess what? There's a rite of passage. I'm just from a generation where I believe in the rite of passage, and the people that make it through the rite of passage are the people that deserve to be there.
Yeah, the problem is that she already basically went through that grunt work and that was already part of her experience, and she was literally hired for this higher level position.
What grunt work? She's had like 2 years in the workforce.
2 years in the workforce. Oh, I didn't know that. Okay. That's another thing. You notice, okay, the young generation, Gen Z, I mean, look, it's like you don't feel that you have to put any work in. You want to get out of college and start making $100,000, and then the minute something goes wrong, you're quitting your job, and I don't have to work. Do you notice that? And these kids, they don't care about money either. They don't care about like the future. Everything is right now, my feelings. Quit your job, deal with it later, go on vacation, spend everything you made, and then do it again. This is why it's so difficult to find work. Even in coffee shops. Every place I go in New York City, there's a sign, help wanted. It's like it's just a revolving door of workers.
Work. She's had like 2 years in the workforce.
Okay.
Your entire 20s is supposed to be grunt work. Men know this. They know this. They know they go into an industry and the older guys are going to kind of bully them a bit. And they know it and they get over it. The meanest, you know what's so crazy? I used to, in this horrible, oppressive patriarchy where sometimes the men made fun of me. It was so horrible. I worked around plumbers, right? And I would go teach how to I sold plumbing products. And literally I would go to these schools, and the way the men would bully each other was meaner than any man has talked to me in my life. They were so mean. And I was like, oh my, like they were calling this one guy fat, this one guy ugly, this one guy stupid, like whatever insult you want to say. It was so mean. And they just got on with it. They didn't bitch to HR. They just went and worked, did their job. And women can't handle getting coffee.
It's not just coffee. It was literally a series of harassment throughout
months. The harassment. You had to go.
And what harassment? I'm dying to know what harassment. What harassment? Define harassment. Harassment, I mean, can be anything. Like I said, you looked at me wrong. That's harassment. I mean, we need to grow up at some point. And it's funny what Pearl is saying about when she was, working in the industry selling parts. My father, this is like over Christmas, everybody's over. My cousin Joe, who's in finance as well, very successful, right? He had to work his way up. And he was telling my dad and he were having a conversation, and my father was like, yeah, you youngsters, when you come in, we give you a hard time. And my cousin was like, yeah, and all we do is sit around plotting on how can we get better so we can get rid of these old guys and take their jobs. But they understand that you have to put the work in, prove yourselves, do a extra in order to take a job like my father's. You see what I'm saying? Women, they just want to go in the workforce, work for 2 years, and become promoted to CEO, just because.
Series of harassment throughout
months. Oh my God, the harassment! You had to go do something because you're a woman. I want you to do less work with the same pay.
Again, I'm just repeating myself at this point, but there is a difference between just being mean to someone and being mean to someone on the base of their gender or their race. There's a difference between
How do you know the difference?
Because they quite literally explicitly stated out, saying you can't do this because you're black, you can't do this because you're a woman, you can't do this because of...
Who says that? Is there anybody in a workplace that, says, I was at my job and my boss came and said, well, you can't do that because you're black. You can't do that because you're female. I mean, certain things as a female, you can't do. Let's be real here. And there's a whole bunch of things that as a male, you can't do either, like give birth. But no, we're in a society today where now men can give birth too. The delusion is mind-boggling.
That factor.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think you're entitled?
What do you mean? I think, what is it?
Here's the problem. She has a problem with the reason that was given for why she can't do it.
Yeah.
The real question is, is there a possibility that what he didn't want her to do, she actually couldn't do it?
Well,
So
what is it?
regardless of whatever reason he gave, he said, okay, it's because you're a woman. Maybe, okay, they were building a bridge and then they needed some men. I'm just giving an example. They needed some men to carry across some beams. And then he looked at her and was like, you know what? You can't do this because you're a woman.
No, this was, I know for a fact that this was like calculation, mathematical.
Were you there?
No.
Were you there?
But
So you don't know it
No,
for a
okay.
fact.
She's literally telling me the story
so-
about like calculation.
Right,
like,
okay. So you weren't there.
Okay.
So you weren't there.
A civil engineer is not the
you
same
weren't-
thing as like
so you
literally a
weren't-
construction worker.
Wait. So you were not there.
No, but it's not
Okay,
the same thing
so
as
do
being
you
a
know it for a
construction
fact?
worker.
Do you know it for a fact?
Yeah, I know for a fact she wasn't a construction worker.
No, I said, do you know what happened for a fact? Stop changing it.
Okay, I wasn't there firsthand experience.
Okay, so you don't.
Okay.
No, she believes all women anyways.
Okay, so
Court document.
Did you hear what he said? She believes all women. This is part of the problem. This is the problem with our court system right now. If you're a woman and you say something, it's automatically true. That's a scary, scary thing. Think about that. Now, think about this. What happens when the tide turns? Because the tide always turns. It always turns. What happens when the tides turn and now it's anything men say goes? Think about that for a minute. Look at the trap these women are walking other women into. Pretty scary.
You don't.
okay.
No, she believes all women anyways.
Okay, so
court
if
documents.
she has recordings of like this guy saying this shit to her, would you believe me then?
I believe it. I'd still think she's bitching for no reason, probably. Like, honestly, I just think if that's what you have, like, I am just, God, I'm so, like, do you know why this pisses me off so much? Because I'm just so sick of lazy liberal women making a bad name for women in the workplace. God, I'm so sick of it. I'm so sick of women asking to be in a man's world and bitching when they get in it. Either be in a man's world or don't be in a man's world. But don't bitch about the way people talk to you. They get over it.
I think it.
You know what's funny about what she's saying? The funny thing is that the more I experience life, the more I realize how phony people are. It's like the school system. A lot of these liberals, right? They're telling women they should be able to be in the workplace. You should be able to have your own money, your own thing. But most of the women telling other women that are married to multimillionaires, never have worked a day in their life except throwing a charity event here and there, have raised their kids and send them to private school. You know what I'm saying? It's like people that go around about the public school system. But meanwhile, their kids are in private school. It's ridiculous. And women and people just listen to anything these people say. No common sense.
Talk to you. They get over it.
I think it's really sad that you think a man's world has to have people talking down on others because of race or
No,
sex.
but it's a
No,
man's
that's not what
world.
she's
It's-
saying.
But it does.
She's not saying
It
that.
does.
So the
It
thing
exists.
so
The world isn't fair. And if she,
we should try to.
but you're
create a
acknowledging
fair
the fact
world.
that the points you made is like that someone shouldn't receive disrespect based on their gender, age, blah blah blah. Like basically
Right.
the Equality Act 2010 that we have over here, which is about discrimination. So. You'd be arguing the same thing if she didn't get the job. But the point is, like, the guy said, you can't do this particular task because you're a woman, right? He didn't sack her for being a woman.
Exactly.
That's still a form of harassment. Like that's
That would be a form of discrimination, yes, if he sacked her purely on the basis of her sex. But saying you can't join in on this particular task for whatever reason, even if he said it, like, it's words. You're really telling your friend, yes, sue this company because you don't like the way someone spoke to you. Have you never heard the saying, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words can never hurt me? Get a grip.
And that's,
Come on,
and that's the
not being
difference.
able-
And that's the difference between men and women, because you're like, if someone said that to me as a man, you can't do this because of what any reason. Let's not think because you're black.
That would make me want to do it.
That would make. Do you know what that would make me do? Like, I don't know what's happening.
I have a question, China.
Yeah.
And when
Actually, let me take that back. Do you hear what he's saying? He's saying that if somebody told him that you couldn't do X, Y, or Z because you're a man, it would make him do it 100 times more. It's like, so anytime anybody says something that a woman takes the wrong way, now we have to sue the company. And I mean, this is just like, nothing makes sense anymore. The sky is yellow, you know, it's like I don't know. How did we get to this place in society? My thoughts on that is family. If you don't have a male in the house to me, this is how this ends up. You know what I mean? If you grow up with a mother and a father, you have balance. These people, there's something that's massively imbalanced in their lives. You know what I mean? It's kind of like what's going on in sports. I'm looking at all of these NBA players and football players, and my God, it's like the socio-emotional simps of the world. You've got, I forget who it is, you got football players and NBA players. Oh, Zion Williamson, $300+ million. He's got one stripper pregnant. She's like 10, 20, who knows how much older than him. And like, he's running around bragging about it and crying about it. And like where are we in society? It's really odd.
That would make me do. Like, I don't know what's happening.
I have a question, China.
Yeah.
And when you're in male-only spaces, do they make fun of each other for race?
They make
Do they
everything.
make fun of each other for gender?
Everything.
Do they make fun of each other for looks?
Yes, height, money.
So would you say in a man's world that's part of it?
That's part of it. Anyone that's done PE.
So then if women want to be in a man's world, then get over it. That's a man's world.
Because I can handle it, he can handle it, all of us can handle it, right? But then you come and say, oh no, you shouldn't be spoken to like that as a man. But that's because you're a woman and you wouldn't like being spoken to as a woman. Yes.
Well, I think it's...
Well, actually, that's why do you think so many women want to be in men's spaces? It's so weird. Think about it. There's just so many women today that want to do everything men do. They want to be in the cigar bar with men. They want to work their jobs. They want to be... It's like I drive down the street in Manhattan, right? And every time there's a construction site, there's like a ton of women working on it. Why do you want to be on a construction site with a bunch of men that are literally putting up scaffolding or pouring cement, and you're holding a sign like slow? And like, why do you even want to be in that job? Why? What made you wake up or as a child say, you know what? I have dreams of working on a construction site with a bunch of men.
As a woman, yes.
Well, I think it's basic. What is it? It's
human decency.
not just basic human decency, but how else do we become better in society as a whole if we don't stop
by becoming more competent? By becoming more competent,
okay.
you cannot change the way people treat you.
Yes, you can.
That's part of you can't. That's what liberals.
I'm sorry. Did the Civil Rights Act not happen in the United States? Did we not get rid of like discrimination when it comes to voting? Like, did we not?
No, we should
this?
look what happened when we started to stop. Ever since women voted, this goes back to my first thing.
You know what? One thing I'll say is you got to give it to Pearl, okay? She's in a man's space and she's not afraid to say anything a man says. I'm serious. Think about it. Think about this. There's very few women that can make it in the space she's in. Very few. Very few. It takes a lot of work, a lot of dedication, and she's definitely not afraid to speak her mind. She's goofy as all heck, but you know what I mean.
Oh, we treated women in society. Women can vote. You can change how people act.
And what's happened since?
Now, women can vote, right? This girl, okay. You can change, how people act is what she just said, right? But you cannot change how people feel. You can't change how people think. You understand? You can't. People are people. They're going, depending on their environment, there's a whole bunch of things that go into how people feel or the way they were raised, the way they were brought up. You cannot change people's feelings. But in a workplace, we're not there because of our feelings. We're there to get a job done.
And what what's happened since? Women are more depressed than ever. Women have made horrible decisions. We have more OnlyFans models than teachers.
That's what
women have chosen.
I don't think that's true. I think I saw the Twitter note.
It's the Twitter note. No, it's Dr. David Baker. You guys guys can look it up. The history of sex. He's written like 10 books on the evolution of sex. So no, that is a real stat. You can look it up.
You said
easy.
OnlyFans girls and versus teachers. We can search
No,
it up now.
I said there's more OnlyFans workers than teachers right now.
Let's search
Dr. David Baker, look it up, bitch.
The problem is
Wow, I've never seen Pearl act this way.
David Baker, look it up, bitch.
the problem is when I have
It must be her bangs. Pearl is like, this girl's way too pretty. She's way too cute. Her hair is too long. Look it up, bitch. Now this is Pearl acting like a man.
Dr. David Baker, look it up, bitch.
the problem is when I have read things that are like literally like contradictory.
But
This guy over here, this co-host, this new guy on here, he's sitting there looking like John Travolta, first of all. I do not understand this man's wardrobe. Every time I see him, he's just sitting there barely talking, dressed like he just got off the set of a 1970s film. I mean, what is up with this guy's body language? I mean, I'm sorry. Let's keep it moving. Forgive me. I mean, this girl does have great hair, good bangs. Those are some good bangs.
No, the problem is you think you fucking know everything.
Well, I don't think I know everything.
No, you
That's
do.
why I'm saying we should
You
search
think
it.
you know everything about engineering. You think you know everything about the child court system. You think you know
I don't
everything.
think I know everything.
And
That's why I'm saying we should
and that's
search
that.
it.
And I gave you the stat.
Yeah,
so
that's what I'm saying.
it's like.
Pearl thinks she knows everything too. I mean, come on. This is actually funny. I mean, I'm not saying that her stats are wrong, but Pearl does think that she knows everything too. And now she's getting so triggered from this girl. I'm telling you, it's her looks. She's too skinny and unbothered, and it's that hair. She's just angry that she cannot get her hair looking right. I'm sorry.
And I gave you the stat.
I gave you the stat because everything Pearl says is facts. Pearl can never be wrong. Not on her podcast.
So it's like I could literally get this author for you on the phone. I could literally do it. I could give you his literal number. He does
cool.
research.
Yeah.
Also, you were talking about biased samples. What was it you said earlier about like how
And this chick, do you ever see her? I've been catching her too. She's got like some of her own thing. I mean, let me tell you, I don't know if it's the London air or the water, but there are some strange birds over there. Between the guy that looks like John Travolta, this chick, Christine something. I mean, it's just some interesting stuff going on, okay? The old crew was a lot cooler. It's getting real weird over there on Pearly Things.
sample bias.
sample bias? And your answer is let's look it up. Is Google not a sample bias?
What you
The
could
search
do,
results that you get on the first page of Google, is that not all sample bias?
Well, no, but if she looked up the specific study, though, she would get the result, wouldn't she?
yeah,
Right.
He speaks. Let me hear what he's saying. First of all, this girl is sitting in, you're on a podcast and you're wearing a skirt, I believe. It's like awfully inappropriate. She keeps going like this to make sure that nothing's showing. I mean, with all the stuff that comes out of Pearl's mouth, you think she would say, hello, close your legs and put your legs down. Come on. I'm sitting here coming at these women on here and look how you're sitting. You're making me look bad, okay?
Sample bias?
Well, no, but if she looked up the specific study, though, she would get the result, wouldn't she?
yeah,
Right,
you could see the
but the
methodology.
whole point is that like we're talking about statistics and everything, but the truth is like everything that we find is all from a sample bias anyway.
That's yes and no, because the actual study itself, you can see the methodology and you can see like if there was bias in that methodology or how valid it is. So like the study itself like is not biased.
Okay, so
You know what? I gotta say something. Here we go. Not even just her. Okay, forget about Miss Womanist over here. All right, Pearl, all of them. It's like, look, studies are important, but there are certain things that just take common sense. I mean, if every time you turn around, you're hearing about another lawsuit from a woman in a workplace, eventually women are not going to be hired anymore because men are going to get sick of it. You're ruining men's lives. How many times have we seen NFL players being accused of something by a woman, and then later on they find out, oh, she lied. But it's like, oh, she lied. Oh, well, you know what I mean? It's like eventually men are just not going to put up with this anymore. You don't need a lot of studies to know that, hello, the tide is going to turn. And then what, ladies? Let's use common sense, okay? If you want to be in the workforce, around a lot of men, like let's say Mad Men, if you want to be in the ad industry or in the banking or finance, right? You go to Wall Street. If you're going to Wall Street to work, it's a masculine energy, okay? It's a bunch of alpha males down there that are doing anything they can to make money. You know what you're walking into. Go watch Wall Street. Don't show up and then, somebody looked at you wrong and now you want to file a lawsuit against them.
Biased.
Okay, so I have a question. So when you read the study, okay, you read the study, who are you trusting?
What do you mean? Oh, I'm trusting, what is it? The peer review research.
Okay,
I'm trusting, what is it? The methodology.
So you're but you're trusting an institution.
Yeah, but I believe that these institutions have gotten enough merit to have trust. I don't just what is it? Saying oh no, it's from an institution. You see, it's automatically false. Shouldn't.
The guy that did this research, he said he's calling me.
Just out of the blue, he's calling you. Hold on. So now, so nobody just had him call her, right? Just out of the blue, randomly call. I mean, let me just tell you, Pearl is really, she's sitting here making a note going, find out where the F she gets her hair done. Okay, this is ridiculous. Okay, Christine Grace did my makeup a few times. It looked ridiculous. I want to know why I can't look right on my show. He's just calling her right. Pearl, come on.
And I did this research. He said he's calling me. Like that, yeah. Wait. She says I'm lying. I'm a big liar just about everything. Are you here?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Can you give them a...
Who is that, Destiny? Who in the heck is that voice?
Can you give them your educational background a bit? Are you texting or are you listening? You wanted it. Okay.
Yeah, okay. My educational background, I was a university lecturer for years, a decade and a half, about broad trends in natural history and the long trend of human history. So a lot of evolutionary biology, about 300,000 years of human history. I recently published a 2 billion year history of sex in fine booksellers everywhere on October 5th. I've got a pretty good mix of natural and social sciences. I worked with some of the finest physicists and evolutionary biologists and geologists on the planet, including one of the people who discovered...
Okay, what is this, a resume here? This girl doesn't understand a word that he's saying right now. It means nothing to her. You do understand that, right? I'll let him continue, but God, I don't...
What killed the dinosaurs.
What did he say? Killed the dinosaurs. Wait, I got to bring that back.
Including one of the people who discovered what killed the dinosaurs. Statistically, I've got fairly sizable chops, considering I used to do this genre of history, which was finding broad mathematical patterns in human history. I mean, how much more do you fucking want from me?
So...
Guys, I'm sorry, but it's just, this is an amusing podcast. The body language, the dynamics on here is just mind-boggling. I mean, I think he's just like trying to look cool so he can take her home after this is done.
In human history, I mean, how much more do you fucking want from me?
So my question, to be clear, the statement was there are more OnlyFans models than teachers. Is that what you believe?
I couldn't really hear the question.
Okay, so yeah, you can't hear. So I was telling her about the research that you did, where you found that it's under 35. There's more OnlyFans models than teachers now.
The only qualification is, and Pearl, you always leave this out, it's OnlyFans models and cam girls.
And cam girls.
Okay.
And other forms of...
And under 35. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, that's a very different stat than, overall there are more OnlyFans.
Well, I mean, because beauty is currency. So obviously the young, hot chicks are you can't really...
Okay.
What did you say the stat was? Like over 40, like what % of prostitutes quit over the age of like 40? It's like most of them, right?
Yeah, that's the overall majority of them. Like only tiny percentage remain. It's not economically feasible otherwise. I don't have the exact stat off the top of my head because, as I mentioned, I'm walking the dog.
But you wrote a book on it. You don't have the stat? Pearl's a little flustered here. Because did you hear what he said? He's like, Pearl, you always get that wrong. She's never going to live that down.
It's not economically feasible otherwise. I don't have the exact stat off the top of my head because, as I mentioned, I'm walking the dog.
What a guy.
The stat for online sex work, OnlyFans, camming, etc., for women under the age of 35 is 4%, which if you look at a list in, say, the US or the UK of the major career paths or professions that women pursue, it puts it right up there with nurses and teachers and so forth.
And I have a question that doesn't include like Instagram models. Like, there's no way to like do that, right?
No. Even though like some Instagram models are obviously just purveyors of softcore pornography, no, that does not include any of them.
Yeah, because I know a lot of them. Like, there's the Stereotype Dubai, etc.
Wait.
We're thinking, do they charge a subscription to show what most people would agree is highly sexualized content?
Okay, bye-bye.
Bro, come with the receipts.
Right.
Interesting, actually.
I don't.
Not surprising, though.
I don't like it when people come on my show and accuse me of lying. I'm not a liar.
Well,
now, this is what like you guys always try to do. You'll put some caveat. Well, Saudi Arabia doesn't have hookers. Okay, we know. We're in the UK. We're in the US. That's what it's about.
Well, that was a awfully interesting show. The stats are not surprising. I mean, let's face it. If you've grown up in a world doing this, right? And here's the crazy thing this is the crazy thing. You don't have to be a model anymore to be a model, right? I mean, you can literally put an app on your phone and turn yourself into somebody completely different. So you don't have to be in shape. You don't have to even be pretty, whatever the standard of pretty is. You don't have to be any of those things. But you can still go make money online. Do you get what I'm saying? So we've come to a point in time where women in society don't really need to work towards anything. Right? Really, really sad. Really, really sad. That's why right now men rule the world. And until women start making something or doing something or creating things on the level of men will always rule the world. Women have a different place. Women, if you're going to get in the workforce, stop complaining. Keep your mouths quiet. Do your job. And try and be better than the men. That's what I say. I hope you guys like this episode. I'm Dubrava. See you next time.